way.
Pituitary gland.
So, okay, so she has a pituitary that I think is easiest to identify right away is the pons, right? And so I know that above the pons is the midbrain and below the pons. So I know this whole thing is my brainstem, okay? And so I know above it is my diencephalon, right? So I'm going to open this up, okay? And don't you see your diencephalon inside there? Okay? Right? So I can see my little knobby intermediate mass. I can see my thalamus. As I go forward, I can see my hypothalamus, and I can see my epithalamus above the thalamus, and it ends in this pineal gland, which is pink, okay? All right? And do you see how big the egg-shaped lobe of the thalamus gets in the back? So this is the egg-shaped lobe of the right thalamus, right here. Okay, so if I put them together, again, do you see these two egg-shaped lobes of the thalamus? Okay, and so what would this space be? I often ask it this way, right here, in between the two lobes of the thalamus.
The third ventricle.
The third ventricle. Okay, so that's what that is. Okay, if that's the third ventricle, I should be able to find an interventricular foramen leading into that third ventricle, huh? Okay, so I'm going to open this back up again. And there it is, right there.
And what was that called again?
This one is the right interventricular foramen. Sometimes it's better on the other side, and it is indeed better on this side. This is the left interventricular foramen. Do you see it, Maribel? Okay, do you see it, Tina? Yep. Okay, so what that's doing is it's draining CSF from the left lateral ventricle into the third ventricle, which is right here in the midline between the two lobes of the thalamus, right? Isn't that what I've been saying? Okay, all right, so that's another way that I can ask interventricular foramen, okay? So now I just want you to hold this shape. I'm going to remove my frontal lobe, and I'm going to remove my parietal lobe. I'm just going to pull it off, okay? Then I'm going to take away my temporal lobe. I'm going to take away my cerebellum. Oh, isn't that what this is right here? But what I didn't take away was my central lobe, or the insula, right? Okay, so that's what this is on this model, okay? This is the central lobe, or the insula, okay, on both sides, okay? All right? Okay, now another, now I'm going to teach you a few things about the midbrain, okay? Things that you have to know about the midbrain. Do you see from the front, it looks like there are two stalks, you know, like Jack and the Beanstalk, okay? So he climbed up a stalk to wherever he went. I don't even know where he went. Where did he go?
The giant land.
The giant land? Yeah. All right. So these stalks, you could conceivably think of as holding up this central lobe of your cerebrum, right? So these are called the cerebral peduncle. Peduncle means stalk, okay? So cerebrum, because it's holding up part of the cerebrum, right? Okay. So these are the cerebral peduncles, okay? There are also cerebellar peduncles, and those are stalks that allow the pons and the midbrain and the medulla oblongata to communicate with the cerebellum, which is back here, right? Okay. All right. So remember, here's my pons. What's between my pons and the cerebellum? The fourth ventricle. Do you see the diamond shape right here? So axons can't just go from my pons to my cerebellum. It can't do that because this stupid fourth ventricle is in the way. So those axons have to go around, right? Okay. And so do you see this sawed-off peduncle right here? Okay. So this is the left cerebellar peduncle, and this is the right cerebellar peduncle, and this is just tracks going to and from your brainstem and your cerebellum, okay? Because your cerebellum is back here, right? Okay? So that's how your brainstem is allowed to communicate with the cerebellum, okay? And that communication is very, very critical, okay? All right. Okay, so these were the cerebral peduncles, back to the midbrain. Okay, these two stalks are the cerebral peduncles. There's a right cerebral peduncle and a left cerebral peduncle.
Is it all the way around?
Are tracks of axons going from your precentral gyrus down to your spinal cord, right? Those upper motor neurons, those pyramidal axons, that's what those are. We call these the corticospinal tracts, okay? All right, so that's your cerebral peduncles, okay? All right, on the back side of the midbrain, do you see these four little bumps? Okay, so they look like little butts, huh? Okay, so these are the corpora quadragemina. Quadra means four, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4 bumps. Okay, the top two are called the superior colliculi, and you don't have to know that for lab, but you will have to know it for lecture. Okay, and the bottom two are called the inferior colliculi, but the 4 of them combined are what you have to know for lab, and the 4 of them are called, let's try it, the corpora quadragemina. Corpora quadragemina. Okay? Okay, quad means 4. Remember the quadriceps muscles, there were 4 muscles, right? Good job on your lab exams, every one of you. Okay, there are 2 other things that you have to know about